Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Wednesday, October 22nd. Let me see the time. 7:47 a.m. Central Daylight Time, local time here in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm here at the receiver, and they just had me move out of a dock. I got here early this morning at like 5 a.m., and I just backed up to one of their docks that looked like it wasn't being used. And I was just going to camp out there until the delivery. But a whole bunch of them showed up at like 7 a.m. and they politely knocked on my door, and a guy told me that they needed to use the dock I was in, and chatted with him for a couple minutes. He asked like what I was delivering, and I told him, I was like, hey, it's a load that I think was supposed to deliver last week, but the guy broke down, and he asked if it was racks. And I said, he told me it's racks, and they also put tires in there with it. And he said, yeah, we're going to be using all these doors right here. And there was already a whole bunch of box trucks parked in all the dock doors next to me. And I said, what about those doors down there? Do you guys own those doors down there? And he said, yeah, they're probably going to have you unload in 4, but we're going to be using 4 right now. You should probably be okay in 6, which is their very last dock door. The next dock door over is owned by somebody else. These are co-location facilities where it's a really big warehouse and there's multiple businesses renting space. So it's one building, but there's multiple businesses operating out of the building. So some of the businesses own some of the docks. So anyway, yeah, I had to move over to this spot, and I'm not really sure. Well, now I am. I wasn't sure what time that they open, because when I booked the load with Landstar, they told me that the receiving was 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then when I talked with the agent said 9 to 4 or something. I can't remember what the end time was, but I remember the beginning time he said was 9 a.m. So I just walked over there a couple minutes ago and asked them if it was 8 or 9 a.m. And the guy I talked with was like, you know what? I'm going to go ask him and see if I can unload you right now. I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, that's no problem. I'm a temporary worker and I don't have anything to do. I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of like walking around twiddling my thumbs. So that'll give me something to do. And I said, all right, cool. Well, if they don't want you to unload it, if you wouldn't mind just finding out if I should come back and check in at 8 or 9 a.m. And he came back out a few minutes later, and he said it'll be at 9 a.m. in door 5. They can't unload you until then because it doesn't show up in the computer until then, or something like that. So door 5 is the door directly to my right. So I'm just going to need to pull forward and then back into that door. Once I check in with them at 9 a.m. So that'll be cool. I won't have to swing all the way over to 4. There's a like entryway in between door 4 and 5. So swinging over to door 4 that's like way over there. Door 5 is just right next to me. And they're using all the space up here to park their box trucks. So these are pretty tight spots to get in and out of with them using up the space up here parking their box trucks. So door 5 is going to be a lot easier to get into than door 4. But anyway, that's what's going on right now. So I've got like an hour to kill. So I figured I'd do a catch-up video. I tried to do a driving video last night. I recorded a lot of driving footage, but I was so tired that I was just having trouble staying on topic, and I was rambling, and there were big pauses, and it was not good. So I decided not to upload that driving video. I just kind of stopped recording uh, while I was actually making the driving video. I didn't record the whole drive here. I stopped like 3/4 of the way through the drive. I stopped the video because it was just I was it was getting dangerous with me like falling asleep at the wheel. There was the worst was I actually fell asleep for a split second and was woke up by the rumble strip, and I went like 2 feet over the fog line, and that gave me a little bit of an adrenaline rush and woke me up. But that only lasted like 5 minutes, and then I was fighting, staying awake again. So why was I so tired? Well, basically, I wasn't able to flip my sleep schedule. This is one of the many reasons that I wanted several days to get the truck ready and get everything ready to go out over the road, was so that I could also flip my sleep schedule. And I was not successful. I was so stressed out about getting everything ready in such a short amount of time that, like, okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. So Sunday, no, was it Sunday? No, it was Monday morning. So Monday morning, I woke up at like 12 a.m. So by the time I booked this load at like 10 or 11 a.m., I'd been awake for like 10 or 11 hours at that point. Um, and I initially, when I booked the load, I wasn't going to pick it up until Wednesday night. So I had a couple of days to get everything ready. And then the agent just threw a little temper tantrum and said that he was going to take the load off of me. He needed it picked up today on Monday. And I was like, okay. And then he changed his mind and begged me to stay on the load and apologize for being an ass, and asked me if I could pick it up any earlier. And I was like, the earliest I can do is Tuesday night, and I can deliver it Wednesday morning. And he said, okay, that'll work. So in order to make that happen, I had to stay up all night, Monday night, getting everything ready. And then I finished getting everything ready at around midnight, Monday night. And by that point, I'd been awake for about 24 hours. And I tried to stay awake until 8 a.m. before I went to sleep so I could sleep all day. But I couldn't. I stayed awake till maybe 1 or 2 a.m. and I couldn't stay awake any longer. And I passed out, and I was just hoping that I would be able to sleep for like a really long time, like sleep all the way until noon or something at least. And that didn't happen. I woke up at 7 a.m. after only sleeping for like 5 or 6 hours and I was just wide awake, could not go back to sleep. I laid in bed until like noon trying to go to sleep. And then I gave up and just started like getting ready, doing final preparation things. And I ended up leaving the house at like 4:45 p.m., drove through rush hour traffic across town to the truck. And then when I got to the truck, there were a lot of issues. The APU had failed to start to keep the batteries charged, so the batteries were dead. They weren't completely dead, but there wasn't enough charge to even start the APU, let alone the main engine. So I had to hook my car battery up to the truck to charge it up. Charged it for like a half hour. Then I was finally able to start the APU. And then I had to let it charge for like another 30 to 45 minutes before I was able to start the truck. Um, and that was with the APU running and my car hooked up to the battery. So both my car and the APU were charging the batteries, and it still took like 30 or 45 minutes to get the batteries charged up enough for the truck to start. And the truck still, even after all that, the truck barely turned over. I almost gave up and just let it set and charge for longer, but it barely turned over. And then another issue I ran into while I was doing my pre-trip inspection is one of my like marker lights on my headlight assembly, my left headlight assembly, the little amber light on the side of it was out. But luckily I had a spare, so I replaced that. And what else was there? I can't remember. I think there was a couple of other things. But yeah, there was. I'm glad that I got there early, because if I would have waited and gotten there when I planned on it, then I probably would have been a couple hours late to pick the trailer up, which wouldn't have been that big of a deal because I was going to get here a couple of hours early. It would have just meant that I would have rolled in here at like 8 or 9 a.m. instead of getting here at like 7 a.m., 6 or 7 a.m. But because I left so early, because I couldn't sleep, I ended up being, even earlier than anticipated. Even after dealing with all the charging issues with the batteries, I still ended up arriving to pick the trailer up. I told them that I would pick the trailer up between like 10 p.m. and midnight, and I ended up arriving, I think, at around 9 p.m. Let me double check my email here. Oh, no, let me check my text message. Um, 9:02 p.m. I sent a text message to Chris and said that I'm at the fuel island. I'll come over and find you in a minute after I fuel up. And like 30 seconds after I sent that text message, he walks over to the truck. Apparently he was inside the building. He was inside the truck stop doing some shopping or something. But yeah, I got hooked up to the trailer, and that's when some more drama started. The trailer has a lot of issues. So let me rehash something I talked about in previous videos. Chris told me that a big part of the delay and why it's taken so long to repower this load is because Landstar required a mechanic to come out and inspect the trailer before they would repower the load, since it was involved in an accident. Even though Chris told them that the accident did not affect the trailer, they said it's still policy. Now, I have been in accidents with Landstar trailers, and I've never had them tell me that they had to send a mechanic out. So I'm guessing it's because his truck had to be towed. Because his truck was disabled, that they had to send a mechanic out. Or it might be some new policy. Who knows? But anyway, a mechanic came out, so I think he had to sit around and wait like an extra day for the mechanic to come out. And then when the mechanic came out, the mechanic wanted to replace a couple of the tires because the recaps were separating on the tires. Now, for people who don't understand tires and recaps, a recap is basically they shave the tire and remove the old tread, and then they will put a new tread on there. They'll glue like new tread onto the tire. And they call that recapping a tire. And they're a lot cheaper than what are referred to as virgin tires. Recaps are really common in the industry to save money. Well, there's almost always tread separation on recaps. It's normal. It's not illegal. And Chris said that the tread separation on these recaps is just normal tread separation. But this mechanic failed the inspection and said that those recaps had to be replaced. And because this was out in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, in Tonkawa, I can't remember the details, but I want to say he had to wait like another day for them to get the tires and come back out and replace them. So all of that added to the delay, and the mechanic who did the inspection did an absolutely terrible job. He replaced a couple of tires that, according to Chris, didn't need to be replaced, and there's a whole bunch of stuff wrong with the trailer. So let's go through the list of things wrong with the trailer that I found, and I don't do a really thorough inspection. I'm a lights, tires, and mud flaps kind of guy. That's about all I check on the trailers: lights, tires, mud flaps, and paperwork. I make sure it's got registration and a DOT inspection. Like, and I actually check the VIN number and the license plate number against the paperwork, because I have picked up trailers before that had license plates and VIN numbers that did not match the paperwork. Um, but anyway, during my lights, tires, and mud flaps inspection, I found that the ABS does not work. And it appears that they have tried to work on the ABS at some point in the past. This trailer has the ABS light that is riveted in. There's like a little plate over the light that's held in by rivets, and you have to pop that plate off to be able to remove the light. Somebody has already popped that plate off, so I think that they have replaced that ABS light to try to fix the ABS. That didn't work. And I think that then they tried troubleshooting the ABS system and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So their solution was to cut the wire to the ABS. So someone has cut the wires going to that ABS light so that the light does not come on. Because when the ABS light stays on solid, that indicates that there's a failure in the ABS system. So in order to hide that failure, someone cut the wire to the ABS light. So that's one issue, is there's a problem with the ABS system, and they also need to fix the wires that were cut to hide the problem with the ABS system. The next issue is there is at least one tire, maybe two tires, that need to be replaced. I can't remember. I remember that during the inspection, there was one tire that had a really bad crease across the tread. Like it had been parked on top of something, some object, and it just creased the tire really bad. That tire needs to be replaced. And then there was another tire that had like a chunk on the sidewall that was damaged. It was like the tread and the sidewall mixture, and I can't remember if it was the same tire or another tire. I honestly I was really pissed off, and I was just like, it's good enough to get the delivery done. I'll deal with all this crap after the delivery. So I have at least one, maybe two tires that need to be replaced. What else? What were the other issues with the trailer? The trailer has an auto air system, and on the auto air system, there is a light at the front left corner of the trailer that's in view of the driver's side mirror. And when that light comes on, it indicates that there's a leak in the auto air system. The auto air system is airing something up. So it's a warning light to let you know that the auto air system is airing something up. Well, that light is like, the whole assembly needs to be replaced. It looks like something ran into it and shattered it. The light's missing and most of the assembly's missing. There's just a couple of little pieces of it left. What else? What else? What else? Was there anything else? So there's the ABS, 1 to 2 tires, the auto air light. Oh yeah, there was one last thing. On the back of these trailers, there is a bracket that you use to lock the doors. So whenever you close the doors, there's a latch and it has a hole in it for a lock. But that's what the shippers use to put seals and like bolt locks and stuff like that. And I can't fit my lock onto that latch if there's a thick seal or a bolt or anything else like that. It has to be a really thin seal in order for me to be able to squeeze my lock in there alongside a seal. So I normally put my lock on that latch on the back doors. And the latch on this trailer is bent and it's separated so bad from how bad it's bent that you can't put a lock across it. I got my hammer out there and banged on it, and I wasn't able to get it close enough into position to use my lock. But luckily, the seal that they used on this trailer is one of those ultra thin metal seals. So I was able to squeeze my lock into the latch in the same hole as the seal. So yeah, those are all the things that need to be fixed on the trailer. So after I get unloaded, my plan is to go top off fuel at the Pilot Flying J, and then directly across the street from the Pilot Flying J is a Sapp Brothers. And I have been to that shop one time, and I remember that the mechanics there were decent. The TA Petro across the street doesn't look like it has a shop. The Pilot Flying J didn't have a shop. The Loves, that's really close to here, is just a tire lube. It doesn't look like they have a full functional shop. Like, I looked at a lot of the truck stops around here, and most of them don't have shops at all, or they have just like tire lube shops. So that Sapp Brothers is the only like full service shop that I've seen. I would try to take it to a trailer shop in town, but I really don't even want to try a trailer shop. Specialty shops are usually booked out like 3 weeks. And I don't want to sit around for like 3 weeks, but I would prefer the trailer specialty shop work on the ABS issue, because a lot of these mechanics don't know how to work on ABS. I usually end up sitting around for like 2 or 3 days while they screw around with it, and then they eventually just give up and tell me that I need to take it to another shop. Like, I can't count the number of times that's happened. I deal with a lot of ABS issues with trailers because drivers out here don't know how to inspect ABS. Chris didn't realize there was an issue with ABS. Whenever I was checking the ABS light, I was like, "Is that light coming on?" He's like, "No, no, no, it's good. It's good. It's not coming on." I'm like, "Well, check it again. Just sit there and watch it." I said, "Did it come on right then?" He said, "No." He said, "It's okay. It's not coming on." I said, "Well, it's supposed to come on uh, during the startup diagnostic. It's supposed to come on for 2 seconds and then shut off." And I said, "Is it even plugged in?" And he got underneath there and looked at the wires, and he said, the wires are cut. And I went back there and looked at it, and sure enough, the wires to the damn light were cut. Like, oh my goodness. So, and this trailer is old. It was manufactured in 2013. I think it was April 2013 is when this thing was manufactured. I'm really surprised Landstar still has this trailer in their fleet, because a lot of customers will not work with trailers older than 10 years. So this trailer is, what is it, 12 going on almost 13 years old? So yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time in the shop. So I ended up picking up the trailer there in Tonkawa, and I pulled out of there and started driving. And I very shortly after I left there, I started getting tired. And by the time I made it to just Wichita, I was getting really tired, and I just kept getting more and more tired. And it finally got to the point where I was having trouble keeping my eyes open. So I pulled over at a Nebraska way station on Highway 81. I ended up taking Highway 81 up here. I thought Highway 81 was going to be a lot further out of route from taking the 335 and Highway 75. It ends up it was only 15 miles further. And it was a much easier drive. It was a nice divided highway instead of a bidirectional, and it allowed me to avoid quite a bit of toll cost. So on Highway 81, I pulled over at a Nebraska way station that was closed, and I stopped there for 1 hour. I probably slept for maybe 20 or 30 minutes. And then I took off driving again. And within like 30 minutes of driving, I got really tired again. And that's when I had my close call where I actually like fell asleep for a second or so and went like a couple of feet over the fog line, and the rumble strip woke me up. That was after my nap. And I was just, doing everything I could to try and stay awake. And I managed to make it here. And then I crawled into the sleeper and set my alarm for like 8:30 a.m. And then they, came out here and woke me up at 7 a.m., told me I needed to move. And now I don't feel like super tired. I slept from, I think it was probably around 5:30 to 5:40 a.m. until about 7 a.m. I slept for an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm good to go right now. Like I'm awake. I could use some more sleep, but I'm awake. But yeah, I haven't slept much in the last couple of days. So what the current plan is. Oh, one other thing before we start talking about the plan. I don't know how I hurt my knee, but my left knee is, oh my goodness, it is in so much pain. And the pain started when I was hooking up to the trailer in Tonkawa. I think it happened when I was stepping out of the truck. Like after I hooked up to the trailer, when I stepped out of the truck, I started limping. So I think that maybe whenever I was getting out of the truck, maybe I planted my foot weird on the steps and I twisted my knee or something. But oh my goodness, it is so painful. I think I have a torn muscle in my knee. I'm limping around really bad, and it hurts so bad to put weight on my knee. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to laying in bed for like 8 hours and popping some Advil, some ibuprofen, some anti-inflammatory, and letting this leg heal up a little bit. So once I get unloaded here, which who knows how long that's going to take, it's racks. Okay, so what I've been told is that there are racks in the trailer, and they also put tires in there. They wanted to like get their bang for their buck on the load, so they just crammed as much crap in there as they could. It's a 38,000 pound load, so it has racks and tires in the trailer. I have no idea what the racks look like. I have no idea how big they are. I'm guessing that they're tire racks because it's a tire shop and, I'm delivering tires, but tire racks come in various sizes. So I don't know how much of a pain it's going to be to unload this trailer. But whenever I was talking with a guy this morning and he asked me like what I was delivering, I told him I was told it's racks, but they also put tires in there with it. And whenever I the part of it about tires being in there with it, that pissed him off. And he was like, they put tires in there too? Damn it. And he like stomped off and walked in the building. I think he went in there and told the manager or something like that they put tires in with the racks. So it might be a pain to unload this thing. I might be here for a few hours getting unloaded. But after I get unloaded, I'm going to drive to the other side of town and top off fuel at the Pilot Flying J. And then right across the street, I'm going to go to Sap Brothers. And hopefully they will be able to work on the trailer and get everything sorted out with the trailer. And then I am going to hibernate. I am going to crawl into bed and not set an alarm and just sleep for a long period of time. And then whenever I wake up, I'm going to look for a load. This has been very stressful. Rushing to get all this done to, try to help everybody out. It's been very, very stressful. And I'm like kind of like because I needed the trailer, this ended up being a really good load for me. But rushing to get all this out here and everything, I didn't do, like I skipped my meal prep. So instead of coming out over the road with a bunch of like frozen meals that I made myself, I usually spend 1 to 2 days making, food and then putting it in containers and freezing it. I didn't do any of that. I didn't have time. So instead of bringing that stuff out, I bought frozen corn dogs and frozen burritos. So like, I'm just sitting here thinking about, man, for the next month or two out over the road, I'm going to be eating frozen burritos, frozen corn dogs, cereal, and ramen noodles. That's about all I have to eat in the truck. That does not sound appetizing. So I've been thinking about swinging back by the house on the way, if I grab a load out of here. There was a load on the load board going from Grand Island, Nebraska to Oklahoma City. And that was a contract load, so they probably have that load on a regular basis. Maybe not every day or every week, but there's an agent. Let me actually pull up the load board and take a peek at it here. There's an agent that runs a bunch of loads out of Grand Island. And it was looking like that was probably where I was going to go to get my next load. Oh, wow. Looks like they've only got one load on the board right now. Oh, no, I have my minimum revenue set at $4,000. That's why. A lot of his loads were really short loads. All right, so now that I lowered the minimum, uh, we have all these are out of Grand Island, Nebraska, with the same agency. There's one going to Post Falls, Idaho, Reno, Nevada, Boise, Idaho, Orem, Utah, and Ada, Oklahoma. Where in the hell is Ada, Oklahoma? I think Ada is southeast Oklahoma. Yeah. And it's a multi-stop load. There's two extra stops on it. Where are the other stops at? It doesn't say where the stops are at. One of them's in Stillwater, and then the load board map is really janky. So the other extra stop, it's showing that it's over in Africa. It's actually out in the ocean near Africa. So I can't tell where that stops at. But I can't pick that load up. That load picks up today. But yeah, this agent has quite a few loads coming out of Grand Island that are going into Oklahoma and Texas. So I could, most likely, if I wanted to, after I get the trailer fixed, I could probably book a load out of Grand Island going back near Oklahoma City and then go back to the house and do my meal prep and, get everything situated to go back out over the road properly, and then find a load and get back out over the road. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Right now, I haven't had much sleep in the last few days, and I don't want to be doing any big time thinking at the moment. I don't want to make any big decisions right now because my brain is not operating at full capacity. 8:24 a.m. So still got about a half hour before I go check in with them. I'm not going to move over to the other door until I check in with them, because whenever the guy told me to park in this door, he told me that they use that door 5 right next to me. So I'm going to wait until they're ready to unload me before I move into that door, because I don't want to have to move out of it for them. And I don't want to piss them off by them having to sit around and wait for me to move out of a door again. But it looks like most of the box trucks have gotten loaded and taken off. They had a whole bunch of them. They had like 5 or 6 box trucks that were backed into docks that were getting loaded up. A little fleet of box trucks. And they still have a whole bunch of box trucks parked out here that aren't being used. There's the big one, the one parked directly in front of me that you can see, that's their big box truck. Most of their box trucks are about half that size. And looks like there's 2 little box trucks and then a van that are still parked here, and then the big box truck in front of me. But that's pretty much got you caught up with what's going on with me. Lots of fun, lots of awesomeness. Is the $700 worth all this drama? Because that's how much I'm getting paid for this load, is $700. Yeah. If I didn't need a trailer, I wouldn't have taken this load. All right, somebody just showed up for work. What time is it? 8:27. So that might be the shipping and receiving people starting to show up early for work. God, I feel so bad limping around. Like it's like my limp is really bad because the knee hurts so bad when I put weight on it or bend it or do anything. I'm pretty sure it's a torn muscle with how much it hurts. And like I'm limping around and I'm like, obviously in pain. Like I'm making, faces that I'm in pain and stuff like that. I feel bad for these people like watching me limping around. It's like this guy shouldn't be working. Sorry, I'm just watching over to the right of me because they know I'm here. I've checked in with them a couple of times. Like whenever they kicked me out of the door, I talked with them, and then whenever I went over there and checked in with them before 8 a.m. to see if it was 8 or 9 a.m. that they opened, I checked in with them, so they are very aware that I'm here. So I'm just trying to keep an eye on somebody walking over to me because when the shipping and receiving people are ready for me, they might walk over and talk to me before I walk over and talk to them. That happens a lot. Like I'll wait until like 5 minutes before the shipping and receiving opens, and sometimes they'll get ready early and they'll come out and they'll come over and like talk to me before I talk with them. So we'll see. We'll see. We got about a half hour. Oh, uh-oh. I'm getting a phone call. Just a second. Hello. Hello. Doing okay. Uh, yeah, I was taking time off and I put the truck in the shop. I was, doing a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm under a load right now. I'm doing an SOS repower load right now. I'm at a receiver delivering a load at the moment. So maybe you're not showing that in your system. Yeah, probably since it's a repower, I don't have a freight bill assigned to me. That might be it. Because I don't think they assign a freight. I don't think they assign a freight bill to me on a repower. But yeah, I'm actually. Oh, they do. Well, the freight bill, I can. They did give me a freight bill number in an email. They didn't give me a copy of a freight bill. Would you like the freight bill number? Just a second here. Let me get the email pulled up. I'm going to pause this. All right. So that was a Landstar like driver manager, driver advocate. I don't know what Landstar calls the position. So basically, what it is they're retention people, they're driver retention people, and I don't know exactly how it works, but if you set for a long period of time, you'll have one of these people call you from Landstar and ask you if everything's all right. Are you broke down? Do you want us to put you out of service? And they'll also start pressuring you about money that you owe Landstar. Like, hey, I show that you're negative like $3,000. Are you going to pick up a load soon? Because if you're not going to pick up a load soon to start, paying that back, then we're going to need you to like give us some money to pay that. So that's what that call was. I think I've had this same guy that I've been under for a long time. Some guy named Jason, And Jason got to the point, like, he called me the first couple of times I was sitting at home for like a month or two. And then I think he just realized that I do that all the time and he stopped calling me. So I haven't had one of these phone calls from Landstar about me sitting at home. And I've only been sitting at home for like a month. Usually it's like 2 or 3 months before they start calling you. But it looks like they've assigned me to somebody new. So maybe Jason doesn't work there anymore, or I don't know. But Jason got to the point where he stopped calling me because he knew that I just sat at home a lot. And now I'm under somebody new named Kathy. Or maybe Jason's on vacation and Kathy is just like covering for Jason and she's going through and working all of his people to who knows what's going on. But that's what that phone call was just one of the Landstar driver retention people wanting to know what the situation was on me sitting at home for a month. They didn't show and she didn't show in her system that I was on this load. Um, so, and that's probably because it's a repower load. But I gave her the freight bill number on the load and all that stuff, and she looked it up and she's like, "Yeah, you're not listed on that load." So she was like, "I'm not sure how they're paying this out or how they're doing this," but she said that they basically didn't fill out the stuff correctly on this load. And at first, she was telling me that I should contact Leah, the person with Landstar that I booked the SOS load through. And then she was like, "Oh, they are probably going to, uh, fix all this after you deliver the load. They'll do all this stuff." So then she changed her mind. She was like, "I'll just check on it later and make sure that they update it correctly." And I was like, "Okay, so we're all good then?" She's like, "Yeah, we're good." Um, so yeah, the driver advocate people or driver managers or whatever at Landstar, I think, what are they called? They're BCO advisors. I think might be their title. I think their primary job is driver retention. So they're usually super nice when they talk to you, because their job is to keep you from quitting. Um, but they also are supposed to like deal with like if you get too far in the red and stuff like that. So sometimes they do have to talk to you about negative stuff, but usually they're just trying to make sure that everything's okay, anything they can do to help, that's how the phone calls usually go. Oh my goodness. Drama, drama, drama. What is going on over here? Can you see that? The pickup straight across. I can't tell if that was a real gun or an air rifle. But I just noticed that guy holding a rifle in his hand. Looks like he set it on the bed of that pickup. Who knows? For all I know, that business over there could be like a gun warehouse, a gun distribution warehouse. Or maybe he's just on his break and he's going to clean his gun on his break. What in the hell has he got in his hand now? Is that a remote control plane? Or is it? No, it looks kind of like maybe a drill. This guy is interesting. What time is it? It is 8:40 a.m. So still got 20 minutes. It's a drill. Everybody's walking around all bundled up out here. I think it's in the 40s. It's kind of cool outside. And most everybody's all bundled up wearing coats and stuff. And I'm walking around in shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, I'm just really curious about what in the world this guy is doing. A drill and a rifle. What in the hell would you be doing with a drill and a rifle? He could be disassembling it, or maybe he could be cleaning it. Like you could maybe there's some little drill attachment to clean the inside of the barrel. Could you imagine him doing something like this in a major metropolitan area like Chicago or Los Angeles or something like that? Like we're in, the country. We're in Omaha, Nebraska. It's I grew up in the country in Oklahoma, and it was just normal for people to have guns. Like in high school, like almost all the guys had, rifles in their trucks, hunting rifles. It was really common for people to have those gun racks on their back windshield on their pickup. And during like deer season, we would have people that would go hunting early in the morning, and they would like kill a deer and they would come to school with a deer in the bed of their truck that's like half cleaned out, and they got all their weapons, everything in their truck. So yeah, everybody's gotten a lot more, I don't know, like weird about guns. Guns have really been demonized over the last couple of decades, or vilified, however you want to put it. So now when people see somebody with a gun out in public, some people freak out. Oh yeah, 8:44 a.m. and I have been in the sleeper for 3 hours and 17 minutes. I'm going to have to do a sleeper split because right now I have 34 minutes left on my 14-hour clock. So I have a little button on my ELD, and it's a button, and next to it, it says will pair sleeper berth, will pair SB. Basically, it enables sleeper split. And I'm going to have to do that to be able to leave this place after I get unloaded. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any hours. I'm going to be over my 14-hour clock. And I'm basically just going to have to sit here and take a 10-hour break if I don't use the sleeper split. Or use personal conveyance, which I think it's still a legitimate use for personal conveyance. But man, they have changed the personal conveyance rules so many times. Personal conveyance used to be just really wide open. You could use it for anything, and it was almost unrestricted. The only restriction with personal conveyance was that you could not use it in furtherance of a load. That was it. So, like, there is no limit on how far or how long you could drive, just as long as you weren't moving a load. And then that, I think it was a Walmart truck driver, hit that comedian, Tracy, I think might have been the comedian's name. I can't remember the details. And that person was abusing personal conveyance. If I remember correctly, he lived like 12 hours away from the Walmart terminal that he worked at, and he was using personal conveyance to drive his Walmart semi all the way from his house to the terminal he worked out of, and then he was starting a full work shift and, working like a full, like 14-hour day after driving like 12 hours on personal conveyance. And he got into that accident with that comedian, multi-million-dollar lawsuit with, I think it was Walmart. And that brought a lot of scrutiny to the personal conveyance rules. And the FMCSA was like, okay, we have to add a lot of restrictions to personal conveyance, because I don't think the guy was technically doing anything illegal with personal conveyance. But they added a lot of new rules and a lot of new guidance with personal conveyance after that. And they just keep like being more and more restrictive on personal conveyance. And I keep hearing from the carriers that, on audits and stuff like that, personal conveyance on inspections are some of the most common violations. The DOT really, really, really cracks down on personal conveyance. If they see you using personal conveyance, they will scrutinize your use of personal conveyance. So a lot of carriers, all right, door 5 that they told me that I would be using, somebody just backed into it with a van. But I don't think this is one of the tire employees. I think this is maybe a vendor that works with them or something. I'm not sure. This place is first come, first serve. So I want to get in there and check in with them as soon as possible. But I also don't want to go in there too early. Let me pause this. It's 8:48 a.m., 12 minutes early. And I think I'm going to go in there and check in with them a little early, because I think that people are starting to show up for pickups and deliveries, and I want to get checked in before everybody else, because I think that's what this guy is that's backing up right here. But he's in a little tiny van, so he shouldn't be here too terribly long. I'm going to pause this while I go check in. I'll be right back. Damn it. Well, because this guy is in door 5, the guy told me to go into door 4. So now I'm going to have to swing way over there to door 4. So, and it's kind of cool outside. What does my temperature gauge say? 44 degrees. Just a second here. I'm letting the air system air up. I think there's an air leak with the trailer, because it's moving a lot of air to the trailer. That's something else I'm going to have to do more inspections on before I put it into the shop. I'm going to have to I think there might be even more issues with the trailer. I found a whole bunch of issues when I inspected it, but I got really irritated with how many problems there were, and I just wanted to hurry up and get out of there and get this load delivered. So I kind of stopped looking around. But this is the second or third time that I've had to like start the truck up after it had been sitting for a while, and it's taking a long time with just the truck parked turned off for just like an hour or two. It's taking a long time to air the trailer up. That's not normal unless you have a trailer like I had a couple of trailers back that dumps the entire air system when you set the brakes. But I did not set the trailer brakes when I parked this time, so it should not have dumped the air system. So there's some significant leaks somewhere in the trailer. They're not real bad, but something is leaking air in the trailer. Just a second here, I just got a voicemail. Let me pause this while I listen to it. It was blank, just an empty voicemail. What the shit? Just a second here. The guy that was in door 5 just moved over to door 4. Let me take a look here. Now he's moving to another door. Let me get out and look. Make sure there's not anybody over in door 4. Oh my goodness. Oh, my knee hurts so bad. All right, he went into door 3. He pulled over into door 4, and then he moved over to door 3. All right, here we go. Oh, slow down. We don't want to kick on the drive line. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a pain in the ass. Wish they'd have let me go into door 5. Ugh. This is not pretty. This is going to take a few maneuvers to get wiggled over with this tight space I'm working with. And now I've got that van on my backside, so I have to worry about somebody on my backside. Let's see if we can't jackknife this thing in and try to get a little straight. All right, we're kind of lined up for the door now. I wish they didn't have this damn truck parked here. I hate these places that use my space as storage. This is my space to maneuver. I need to get close, but I don't want to bump it because I'm not lined up with it yet. Still need to wiggle over a couple more feet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the door. I'll be back in a minute. All right. Now, let's we might have to do one more pull-up because I'm not able to move over very much on each one of these pull-ups because I don't have a whole lot of room. All right, I got really close. All right, the guy that's in the van to my right is pulled out. All right, now we're pretty much good to go. Should be able to get in there now. All right, we are bumped to the dock. And there we have it. Now we just need to get unloaded. And hopefully no more drama. I think what I'm going to do while I'm getting unloaded is I'm going to call and around. I'm going to try to look and see what trailer specialty shops there are here in town. And I'm going to call and see like how booked out they are. Because I'm not looking forward to sitting for 2 or 3 days with a general mechanic trying to fix an ABS issue. They're not good at ABS. So I think I'll end the video there, and then I'm going to do some calling around to some trailer shops. You would think that you'd call up trailer maintenance and just dump the problem onto them and let them call around and figure out a place for you. But that's not how it works. I tried that when I first started with Landstar. I had an ABS issue with a trailer out in the middle of nowhere Montana or somewhere where there's almost no shops. And I called them up and asked them where they wanted me to take the trailer for an ABS issue. And they were like, why are you calling and asking us? Well, just take it to a shop. And I was like, I don't know where one's at. And he's like, give me a minute. And he puts me on hold, and he comes back like 5 minutes later, and he's like, well, I can understand why you called us. I can't find any place anywhere near you. And he found a place that was quite a ways away, and I took it there. But yeah, about the only time you call trailer maintenance is for roadside stuff. If you're not doing a roadside, then you need to go find a place to put it. Trailer maintenance doesn't want to go find a place. The only time they'll find something for you is on a roadside repair. So yeah, I think I'm going to look and see what trailer shops there are in town and call them and see how far out they're booked. See if they're willing to work with Landstar. Some of these shops don't like working with Landstar because Landstar takes a long time to approve stuff. And a lot of these like specialty shops, these trailer shops and stuff, Landstar has an issue of not picking up the trailers after the work's been performed, because whenever you get work done at like a TA or a Love's or something, there's a driver with the trailer, and the work is pretty much done same day most of the time. But whenever you put one of these trailers into a specialty shop, they're usually booked out for like 2 or 3 weeks, so the trailer's getting dropped off. And then once they finally get around to fixing it, then they have to schedule somebody to come pick the trailer up. And Landstar is really bad about doing that because the trailer utilization department doesn't understand what their job is. I don't want to get into ranting and raving about the trailer utilization department again, but several of the trailer specialty shops that I've been to do not like Landstar. And I've been to some of them that have told me that they banned Landstar. They won't work with them again because they've had trailers sitting on their property for like a year or more. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. See what trailer specialty shop options there are and see how booked out they are. If there's one that can take me, same day, wow, that would be amazing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this video. It's probably going to take me a few hours to get unloaded. And then I'll go get this trailer sorted out and get all this drama over and done with. Tons of fun. So hope you're having a great week, and maybe I'll do another video today if there's more stuff happening. Hopefully it's not going to be an eventful day. Hopefully there's not much more that's going to be happening today. But if more drama happens, I'll try to make a video about it. Anyway, have a good one. Bye.